Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how we can add in a simple tiled background to a 2D game inside of Unity. So the idea here is that rather than changing the camera directly, adding something like a 3D skybox, what we actually want to do is to put an image inside of our scene and make sure it's tiled and also behind everything else in the scene, the tile map and any game objects that might be interacting inside the scene. So I'm going to show you guys how to set this up step by step. First off, you want to right click on your scene and go to 2D object and create a sprite. So this sprite which you're going to set, you can call it background if you want. So I'll just call it background 2 here. And then you need to pick a sprite to go in this box. So over here in my assets, I have a background. You can see that the sprite mode is set to single. Pixels per unit is dependent on whatever tile size you're using in your game. Pixels per unit is going to be dependent on whatever tile size you're using for your game. And mesh type should be set to full rect. If you don't have it set to full rect, then when you tile it, it'll give you a warning. So we should just set that to full rect there. Now, assuming you're also doing a pixel-based game, filter mode should be point and compression should be none. This will make it so that there's no anti-aliasing or any kind of blur effects on the edges of your sprites when you put them in. And as a result, they will look exactly how they were created in an editor such as Sprite. So with the proper settings on this BG Cave PNG, now we can drag this into the sprite field of the SpriteRenderer. So that should give you something like this. You probably want to center it on 0, 0, 0. But now if we go to game, you'll see that it's just one copy of this image, and that's not really going to look like a background, but more like a tile within the game, like these platforms. So in order to make it tile automatically, we can change the draw mode from simple to tiled. Now we need to figure out how far this should be drawn. So we can change the size, the width and the height to something like 32, 32, and that can get you the result that we were looking for. Now, I doubt it's going to be an issue, but if your game map is particularly big and you don't want this image to be stretched over some massive area like this, you could simply make sure it stretches to the camera size and then moves with the camera, always being a background, but always perfectly sized to the camera. But that would be an extra script you need to add, and I don't think it'll be necessary for our purposes here. But now we've got a completely different problem, which is that the image here is actually showing in front of the tile map grid. If we go to the game view, we can't see any of the tiles. So to change that, we need to use sorting layers in order to make sure that the sprite renderer for the background is hiding behind everything else. So it should be the last thing people see if there's no other tiles in front of it. So I've already created this background sorting layer. If you click on add sorting layer, you'll be able to see all of the sorting layers you've created for your game. Generally speaking, I think your background is going to want to be at the top because it's going to be in the background, hence the name. But since I've already clicked the add button and added that in here, all I need to do at this point is to change the sorting layer to BG. Now, something to point out about sorting layers as well. If you're going to make a very complicated tile map that, say, has 3 or 4 layers of different tiles, then these sorting layers will be very useful for that too. Just whatever you want to show in front of other things should be on the lower sorting layer, and that's generally how it goes. And order in layer, if you want to order things within a certain layer, then you can change this numeric value as well to further make sure that everything is in the right positions for your game. So now if we go into the game view, we can see that we have the background here. If we were able to move around a bit off the screen, then the camera would move and you would just see more copies of this tile. You might need to make it bigger if your map is going to be particularly large. But for most people's purposes, we're pretty much done here. So I've been Chris. I hope you found this tutorial on adding a 2D background in for your game to be helpful, and I will see you guys in my future Unity content.